and welcome to my channel. It's me, Mish, the Dorky Reader, and I'm going to tell you today about my December reads. Yay! Cue some kind of intro. Just kidding, I'm not that fancy. Alright, so I have my stack of December TBR books right here. It's a nice, big, heavy stack of books. I will say, though I did end up reading, oh my gosh, how many of these did I read? 1, 2, 3, 4. Did I only read 4? No, 5. I read 5. But some of them are on the smaller side. It wasn't my best reading month because it was really busy. So page count wise, I'm gonna say I didn't really hit the mark. So that being said, the first book on the stack, I did not read Little Women. Actually, it would have been perfect. I feel like the vibe of this book really would have fit well with December. But I feel like when you have kids in the house and you're celebrating Christmas, that time of year is not very conducive to good reading environment for me. It's too loud, it's noisy, people are running around, the kids are not at school, there's no downtime. So a big old chunky book like this wasn't happening. But maybe when the kids are older, this is the type of book I should be reading around Christmas. I have read this before, so it's not a huge letdown. It would have been a reread. I read it, of course, though, when I was in middle school or a child. I can't remember what grade. I was in 5th grade, 6th grade, something like that. And I liked it, actually. I did enjoy it because I was into the movie a little bit. I like Joe the best, but so there's that. Next year, maybe, or the year after. We'll see. I don't know. A good Christmas book. Okay, the next book on my stack is Night of the Dragon, and I did read this. This was actually the last book of the month I read, and it did bleed into January, so my January reading month has started off kind of slow, but it's okay. We'll get there. But I still count this because it was from my December TBR jar, that it was my December read, even though it kind of overlapped. Anyway, the third book of the series was also really good. However, I will say, personally, this book's ending was not for me. I feel like of all the books, it was my least favorite because of the direction she took something. I can't really spoil the book for people, but if you're looking for a perfect happily ever after, you're not going to find it in this book. And I feel like this book, they had a hard enough journey that a good ending wouldn't have been a bad thing. It wasn't all fluff, and then with a happy ever after, and that would have been kind of boring. No, it was I feel like people really earned a super happy ever after, and they did not get their super happy ever after. And so for me, it was a bit of a letdown in that regard. It wasn't without hope or whatever, if you're worried about that kind of thing. I mean, and the story is still excellent, and there were some really great scenes to visualize, a battle with this dragon and all sorts of stuff happening, and it was very, very cool and very exciting. I did enjoy my reading experience. I just feel as far as the ending is concerned, I was a little let down. So I don't know where to put this, because the first 2 books were so good and I really enjoyed them, and then this one was good, and then just the ending is the only thing that I don't like. Does that make the whole series bad? I don't know. For me personally, it does lower its quality, but not entirely. I almost wish I could read a fan fiction or something with a different ending. It sounds so bad. I'm sorry to the author. I hope she never sees my channel. I doubt she will, but just in case. Okay, so the next book on here, let me see. I'm going to pull this one out. It's Star of the Morning. I did not read Star of the Morning. I really want to get into this series. I know it's by a romance author who typically does Scottish, Highlander type romances and things like that. This is from her fantasy series, and I know it's from the 9 Kingdoms is the world she created here, and I guess there are 12 books and they go in sets of 3. So this is the start, book 1, and books 1 through 3 would star this character and her partner, whoever it is, and then further on the next set would be 4 through 6. You know what I mean, you get the idea. Well, my very first experience with this world was reading a book called The White Spell, which is, I believe, book 9. or 10. I don't know what the number is, but it's it's like the last set of 3, and it was the book 1 of that last set of 3, and I really liked it. I thought, this is great. I should give the whole series a go before I continue on. So I bought the first couple books, and I never read them. So that's shame on me. I need to read them. But it does hold my interest. I'm curious about it, and maybe in the future I'll read it. Okay, so I spoiled it in my first attempt at reviewing this one, but I did read The Giver. So yay me, I'm part of the club of all the kids who read it in middle school, and I won't spoil it this time through. Luckily, you don't get to see that. But this book is called The Giver. It's by Lois Lowry. It's a dystopian world where everyone is uniform, everyone is the same, and there's like not a lot of variance, and people like they all get their bicycle on this exact year of their life on their birthday, and nobody really gives birth to their own children. They're like assigned a father figure and a mother figure, and once they become like adults, those people separate and you don't see them anymore. And there's all sorts of kind of weird things in this culture that are there to apparently like keep peace or balance or whatever that neutral line is of static emotion. And anyway, this boy is given a very special job, and he is apprenticed to this one special person. They're the only people in this world who are able to understand and see color and feelings, and they know what hot and cold is, and all these different things are given to him. And it's interesting. I can't really like say much more without spoiling it, but it opens his eyes, and it opens your eyes as a viewer too, of all the things, you know, painful or not, that we should be grateful for. The ending of this book is open to interpretation, whether or not you're feeling positive or negative about life in general. It's going to skew your interpretation of this ending. And I don't know if it's because the state of the world is so crazy, but my interpretation was definitely leaning towards negative, and I was very sad. But then like there's a part of me inside of me that's always been very positive, and so like I know when I reflect on it, sometimes I think, well, maybe not, you know, maybe there is hope. So I guess it's up to the reader to decide, and I like that kind of an ending. It was very moving. I am curious. I know there's more in this series. Nobody ever talks about the other books in this world or series by this author. So I'm wondering if I should give it a go or not. If any of you have ever read the sequels, if you want to tell me if they're worth my time or not. I know that as a standalone, it was excellent. So it was a good book. So that was a good one. All right, next book on the stack here is Passion Project. And I had chosen this one because it most closely resembled the last song I had listened to, which was a Stray Kids song called Do It. And I did not read Passion Project. I'm always putting my book of the month books to the side over other books. I don't know why. What is wrong with me? But you know, it is a contemporary romantic comedy, or not, I don't know if it's comedy, but a romance, and those aren't always my favorite kind of books to like jump into. I go through like a season, like there'll be like a month or two where I'm like, yeah, I want to read like just a rom-com, or I just want to read a normal romance. And so that's the time I need to really focus in or hone in on those kind of books, because it'll help me get through my stack, because I have quite a few of them for someone who doesn't read them all the time. I'm almost entirely a science fiction fantasy reader, or dystopian, you know, which I guess some people glump in with sci-fi. But anyway, I digress. The next book on my stack is Der Katzenprinz, and this is just a very short book of 3 short fairy tales. The author, it's written on the inside, I believe. Where was it? Yeah, Liam O'Brien has written this. I guess these are based off of the critical role here is like a D&D story type. Oh, there's a cat meowing. Calcifer, are you sad? Well, okay. He might be sad. We never see Calcifer. I doubt he'll jump on the table, but he will sit there and meow the whole time, or chirp. Come here, buddy. Anyway, there were 3 fairy tales. The 3 fairy tales were Der Katzenprinz, and the other one is Die Waldhexe, which is like the wood witch or the whatever. And then we have the Himmelsschloss, so castle in the sky, essentially, or like castle of the heavens or something. But anyway, there were 3 stories. I thought the second one, the one with the witch, was kind of grim. The first one was maybe my favorite, the Katzenprinz. And then the third one was a little out there, but it was all right. They were very, very, very short. Like, I read this in, like, easily a day, probably, like, within an hour. It was a very short book. The next book on here I'm going to talk about is, oh, yes, let's see here. Artificial Condition by Martha Wells. This is book 2 in the Murderbot Diaries. I'm so glad I read this. It's so good. I love this one more than I liked book 1. And I like book 1, but book 2 is better, I think. It has a very interesting, he has an interesting friendship that kind of blooms, and I really, it made me laugh. I also allowed myself to watch the first season of Murderbot Diaries with my husband, and we had a really good time doing it. Season 1 covers book 1, and I love their interpretation of the side characters. The cast was fantastic. They were so funny in their naivete, in their sweet, hippie-like, friendly kindness in this dark world. It was very funny and also charming. And, of course, Murderbot was great, too, and handsome, because it was Alexander Skarsgård, so there's that. But I'm really looking forward to watching season 2 because I'm really curious how they're going to do this particular character, which is like a computer or an AI character that interacts with our friend Murderbot. And also, they're going to a new place, so it'll be in a completely different setting, and I'm curious to see how that's going to play out. I'm really excited about it. Anyway, if you haven't gotten into the series and you do like sci-fi, you're just looking for a really short, easy read, I highly recommend these. They can be a little bit like, I will say, like, the writing can feel a little tumbly at times, but the story is good. You just have to kind of get, like, used to what's going on with his dialogue. I don't know if that makes sense, but it will if you read it, I guess. And next we have Wondersmith, The Calling of Morgan Crow from the Nevermore series. I read book 1 quite a while ago, and I really enjoyed it. For a middle grade, it had a very Tim Burton-esque kind of, almost like Tim Burton meets Harry Potter. You know, like that kind of a feeling when you're reading a book. So it was really good and quirky and cute. And I do want to continue the series. I genuinely do. I think the writing is pretty good. But anyway, that was a no. Next on the list here, I have The Cariniad. I also did not read The Cariniad by A.K. Caggiano. Like I've always mentioned, because I always want to shoot it out there, I love Thrown in the Dark. So if you've ever read Thrown in the Dark, and it's 2 sequels, because it's a trilogy, you'll know why I love them. They're so funny. It's like a funny romantic comedy adventure story. And it also has a little bit of spice, but it's good. It's not bad. It's good. So this is The Cariniad, and I haven't read this one yet. Apparently there's a girl who is about to be sacrificed or she doesn't want to be sacrificed because she's a virgin, so she's looking to lose her virginity, which makes this sound like this is going to be a certain type of book. But it's supposedly a really funny comedy version. And so does she talk to someone or make a bargain with someone to find her, like, soulmate, but things go wrong? I don't know. Some weird stuff happens. But apparently it's all in good humor. So I'm looking forward to reading this one. I don't like the cover. I think that's why I picked this. It was either that or it was a blonde protagonist, because I know I've chosen this book on my TBR multiple times, and I just never end up reading it. So shame on me. Then I also have the Raven Scholar. Last month was too busy. I did not pick up this tome of a book. Everyone says it's so good. In fact, I just watched a YouTube video about a booktube video of this lady talking about her favorite books of the year, and she mentioned this one as, like, in her top 3, and I'm like, I really want to read it, but I'm just too lazy around this time of year. Okay, and so last I have The Apothecary Diaries by Natsu Hyuga, and this book is based off a manga, which was then turned into an anime, and it stars this girl here, I forgot what her name is, Mao Mao? Yeah, okay, Mao Mao. And she is basically really good with poisons. Her father is like a medical doctor, and she's kind of run an apothecary, you know, so she kind of understands all that stuff. But anyway, she is kidnapped and abducted and then sold into the palace as a slave to kind of work for all these concubines and the eunuchs at this like rear palace. And while she's there, she's like indentured for a while. She has to work for I don't know how many years, and she's like trying to keep a low profile because she knows if she's discovered to have this skill, Calcifer, then she's going to be kept there for longer than she intended. But while she's there, this thing keeps happening. A lot of the infants that are born to these concubines for the like little princes and princesses, they're dying as infants. And she kind of solves the mystery as to why. And then in turn, because she has solved this crime, someone figures out who she is, who solved it. It sounds weird when I say that. But anyway, she is then kind of given a little bit more like prestige, like, oh, so you've got this skill set. We're going to use you to solve other crimes. You're going to work in the apothecary now. And so she's kind of stuck doing that. But it's actually a lot better than it sounds. She's very interesting. Her demeanor is very unlike others. She's kind of not antisocial, but just different. And she really likes poisons, maybe a little too much. This main eunuch that she sees, he's gorgeous and all the women love him, and he's very social, and he takes an interest in this character, and he kind of starts putting himself in her life a little bit and help making her solve all these other things. And there's just an interesting dynamic between them, and there's a bit of a mystery, I believe, with him and his background, and I'm curious if I'm right, so if I keep reading, maybe I'll find out. But I really enjoy the story so far, and I allowed myself to watch the first season of the anime, and it was so great. It was dead on, just like the book, so, you know, it was like watching the pages come to life after, and I liked that. That was fun. So if I read book 2, which is on my TBR for January, if I get around to reading it, then I'll allow myself to watch more of the anime, so... Well, that's that. I had, like I said, it was a smaller stack of, like, they're really thin, all the books I chose. But I did end up reading 5. So these are the ones I ended up reading. Not much, as you can see, but it was all right. I feel like next month is going to be even more disappointing. Just because of the way my life has been going. But I am currently reading one book that's pretty big, so it's going to take me a while, but it's good. So, and I told myself that this year it's not about the number of books you read, but the quality. So if I read, you know, half as many books, but they're all outstanding, will I be mad? No, I won't be. So we'll just have to see what goes on there. Though I still want to reach that goal. There's like this part of me that's like, you can do it, Mish. You can still make it. But I'm like, I'm pretty behind at this point, so we'll see. All right, well, you have a good day, and I'll see you on my next video.